Hello, and moms. Hasn't this been amazing? The Pocketbook series, Moms and Money. I am so excited to be talking with Pastor Katie Brave, a mompreneur, a first lady, a pastor, a minister, a leader, all of the things that we actually will go into in a few about what it's like being a mompreneur for those of us who are considering, for those of us who are maintaining our own businesses, like just getting some insight and some wisdom as we are focusing on the finances this month. Woo! All right. So, Pastor Katie, I sent you some questions, but we just gonna flow. We'll let the conversation go as it may. I want to make sure that they can see you. Can you tell us who you are and what are your businesses? Businesses.
Well, as she said, I am Pastor Katie Brave. And as far as businesses go, I am the owner of Katie T. Brave Counseling and Consulting, as well as co-owner of Brave Realty and some other miscellaneous, sometimes things that I just kind of work in.
Oh my God. So off the record, we were talking about, the why moms may be inspired to have multiple streams of income, as many of us may not have one specific area that we're just focusing all of our attention. And so would you mind sharing like maybe what inspires the idea and what makes it work for you having multiple streams?
Yes, I will say this, that two reasons that come to mind when you ask that question. One, as a mom, I felt like there is a particular amount of money maybe that I would like to make, but I have to be very flexible in my schedule because I have children. I am now up to 3. And so with that, it's like I said to you earlier, it's kind of like I have to piece it together. So I piece together what it is that I can do with the time and the flexibility that I have to have because of my children. So that's one thing. Another thing that comes to mind is within my family, that was normalized for me. So my dad has always done more than one thing. My grandparents always did more than one thing. My mom has always done more than one thing. So it's just kind of what I know. And so I realized that I am probably normalizing that for my girls too. And it's okay.
Right. Listen, we're not judging. Okay. This is not that space. I also think that because God knows the desire of our heart, that He will give us strategy for that. I was explaining, I have multiple talents. Like, I really like
that
doing
part.
the education piece. I love that. I also love making floral arrangements.
What?
I do. I do. And so,
Oh, I did not know you did that.
yes. Yes. So it's been something that but anyway, this isn't about me, Pastor Katie.
Okay, I know. But sidebar, I might need you to make me something.
Okay. But right. So I was like, there's things that we love to do, and then being able to pick and choose and refuse our schedule really does mean that we have to be deliberate, intentional about what jobs we take, what jobs we create, and who we employ.
And with that, you also have to have self-control, because as women, we are so capable. And like you said, you can be so talented. And there was something that came up recently, and I was literally like, just want to say yes, just want to do it, because I could, because I know how to do it. I can. But I was just like, okay, this is the schedule by which that I can do that in. And if that's not okay with you, then no, I can't do it. It's not for me. And I literally had to talk to myself to be okay with that, because I do have a set time. I have someone that comes to watch the baby 3 days a week from 9 to 1. So if what you need can't happen in that
And
time,
don't yeah.
I can't do it. And then I close my schedule from like 1 to like 4:30 or so, because I have to go pick up kids and things like that. And then I open back up my evening time when my husband can watch the baby. So it's like, you got this block or you got this block. And
Right.
if what you need from me does not fit in that time, then I'm sorry. Like, I can't do it. So
Oh yeah. So this is really good. We hadn't even gotten into our real question. Hold on. Hold tight. Okay. So when you were considering the multiple streams, or specifically starting your business and businesses, um, what were some things that you were considering? Like, what should someone consider when they are thinking about becoming a mompreneur?
well, I think when you're becoming a mompreneur, that you may have to consider that your setup or your process may not look like what everyone else's may look like. And it may not be what everyone else is doing. So I think that you have to be prepared to be creative. Creative as in when you're working. Like, okay, maybe I have to work when people take naps around here, or I am working when on my laptop when everyone else is asleep. But I still have to maybe, cook. I still have to like iron, whatever, fold clothes,
Mhm.
whatever the case may be. I still have to do all of those things. I just don't have this set 8 to 5 slot that I do things. Even when I was deciding to become a counselor and was going back to school, that can also play into being a mompreneur. Like, if it's something that you may need to go to school for and get training for, you have to settle. I am not a traditional student. And so I'm sitting up in this class, yes, with these 23-year-olds, 24-year-olds who have no kids, who can just read all day and study all day. I can't do that. I have to do things like, I used to take when the older girls were smaller, I would take them to the library, rent a room, get their little iPads, set them up, and we'd play a game. I'm like, okay, let's play Office.
Mhm.
Now you're going to work on this, and I'm going to work on this. And we were like playing a game, but I'm writing a paper. Like,
Mhm.
I'm over there typing, because I was the kind of person, I can't do certain things at home. I need a change of scenery.
Mhm.
So you just have to get like very creative, I think, in order to do it.
That's so good. Being creative with your time management, and being like just really honest with yourself about what time you do have available to
Mhm.
start and maintain your business. That's so good. Okay. All right. Know what you know now about being a mompreneur, what it's taking, maybe even the newness of it now that you've had a new addition to your family. Because, Pastor Katie, can you tell us the ages of your girls?
Yeah, of course. My oldest, Taylor, is 15. I have Reagan, my middle now, who is 13. And now we have Peyton Grace, who is 6 months and started scooting last night. Yes.
So, and you're witnessing the real process of right now. I'm processing that my child is scooting,
Uh-huh.
right?
Look, what I tell you, I had one that started scooting last night. And what that means is she's about to start getting into stuff. And then I have one that is flying in from a school trip from New York today. I'm like in all these different areas and stages.
Right. All these
Great.
dimensions of development that you're
Yes.
cheering on, but also like, I don't know. I imagine I would be cheering and grieving. Like, it would be like, no, yay, that's good for
Yes.
you. But
Yes. I will say this. Peyton Grace having the baby it's been very helpful in the way that I cope with the big girls getting older. Because what I'll do is, like, something's going on with the big girls and I'm like kind of grieving, because it's like, oh, you know, you're closer to being an adult, or, being more
mhm.
independent of me. Then I'll go pick up Peyton Grace. I'm like, oh, but I still have
Yay. Oh,
still
God
need
knew
me.
what
You
he
still
was
cry
doing.
when I leave the room.
That's
So
so good. God knew what
Yeah,
he was doing. He knew what you needed.
he knew what I needed. He knew what I needed. Now I think about now. I don't know what his plan is for when Peyton Grace get older. I'm like, now, Lord, I don't think I'm gonna need another Peyton Grace when she becomes a teenager. I don't think I'm gonna need that. I don't think I'm gonna need that. Hopefully I am secure in another form of, coping. But yeah.
That's so funny. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We got to move on. All right. So, knowing what you know now as an entrepreneur, a mompreneur, a counselor, therapist, someone who owns their own businesses, what would you tell the emerging entrepreneur in you
Mm.
then? Like the person is like, I think I want to go into counseling, or I think we should go ahead and start a realty business. I think we should do this, this, and this. What would
Mhm.
you tell yourself?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think I would tell myself, go for it. And I know I sound like a broken record, but go for it with the understanding you just have to go about it a different way. Here's the thing. You have, I think, two kinds of moms, and you have those moms that are, they're going to go for it, and maybe they were already in the workforce, and so maybe they were used to their kids, like maybe being in daycare or what have you, and that's fine. So they're going to continue to go for it during, those set time. Then you have maybe moms like myself who kids were not in daycare, but I'm like, I don't necessarily want to do that. But I still want to do this. And so you just have to go about a different way. And maybe you have to burn the midnight oil more often than if you maybe did it if you took a different route. So I think being okay with the way that you have to take,
Mm-hmm.
being okay. Comparison is such a joy stiller, focus taker, distractor. Um, if it's for you to do, you will do it in the way that you have to do it, and it'll work for you. That's just what I have experienced and what I believe.
Mm. Excuse me. So, moms, if you haven't settled, that the way that the path that you may go is going to be different from maybe the mompreneur that you know that may have multiple staff members that can handle all of the things. And that's not your path yet, and the way we're getting
Yes.
there is
Yes.
maybe different.
And even if your children are small, because I see this now, because I have big girls and I have a little one. And I remember when the big girls were smaller, I just couldn't wait till they became, in my mind, I thought I just couldn't wait till they became, more independent and can do things, because then I can do this and I'll have more time to do this. And, da, 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 da. And then I finally got there. And then my husband got me pregnant. And so I had an office space, and I was doing, it a lot differently. And now that I have Peyton Grace, I am doing it a lot. I had to go back to doing it a lot differently, but very thankful that I was able to hire someone to help me, within the home, so that I could still do an aspect
Mm-hmm.
of what I was doing.
Of
I
your
think
business.
that when you're a mompreneur, I guess what I'm trying to say is you have to be okay with adjusting to your children and the needs of the home while you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be so, I won't say you can't, I'll say this. I am not so married to doing it a particular way that I can't stop and adjust and pivot, because I just need to let that office space go. As much as I loved it, I had made it so cute and it was exactly what I wanted it to be. And I was doing well, my practice was growing and da, 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 da. And it just is what it is. And so I put it on the shelf. I still do counseling. I just don't do it in that space anymore. And so I just put it on a shelf, and maybe when Peyton Grace is, I don't know, a little older, maybe 2 or maybe 3, or maybe I can hire help for a longer period of time. I may, go back and visit, or I may not. I mean, it's okay.
Yeah. So being flexible, being creative, and almost being settled that my way is not going to be like everyone else, or even how I may have fantasized and imagined it would be.
Yes, that is the thing. Because when we have an idea, we see it, right? And this could have been an idea you had before you had children, an idea, a dream, and you see it and you think you know how it will be. And so then you try to go out and do it, but these kids are looking at you like,
Mommy,
I got
we're
homework.
hungry.
I got homework. I got a project. Something that I remember I settled when I went back to graduate school with the 2 kids. I settled that I am on their time. That's what I told myself. Now, everybody may not feel that way. That's how I feel. I would look at my girls, I said, well, I'm on their time. So their needs will come before this.
Mhm.
And so I would get up in front of my professor and be like, hey, I won't be here tomorrow. My daughter has a field trip. It just is what it is. That
Mhm.
was a reason for me to miss class. May not be a reason for everybody else to miss class. That was me. My daughter got a field trip tomorrow and she's expecting me to come.
Mhm.
My kid got a program at school. I'll be late to class. Is that okay?
Wow. I mean, this is really, I know we're talking about business and goals and aspirations and maybe even operating in the call of God that He has for you, as an entrepreneur, but it really also means being very intentional about the role and the call to mother.
Well, because here's the thing. I believe that if God called you to be a mompreneur, right? And he led you down that path, and at the end of the day, he gave you the idea, correct? Well, he also called you to be a mom to your children.
Mhm.
So, some kind of way, he had to give you a grace for this. And so I would always just ask the Lord, okay, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do how am I going to go back to school with these kids? How am I going to do it? And he was like, okay, now this is what you do.
Mhm.
You don't miss this, because, and then too, with your kids, especially when they're little, you have like one shot at certain things. They don't go back to elementary school, and so
At least
those
that's not what you want. You don't
no.
want to go. You were like, yikes. I am really not doing this with this child.
Right. And so I think that there is a grace that he'll give you to balance the needs of your business and the needs of your children.
Yeah.
And he'll send help, I think. Because, like, here's the deal, the other kids, I didn't have an option. Like, I'd be like, man, who could help me? Who can help me? I couldn't find anybody. Well, it was not for me to do it at that time. But
That's
then
good.
I have Peyton Grace now, and I was just like, man, I don't have any help. Like, who could help me? And literally, I put it out on Facebook, right?
Mhm.
Nothing became of it. I was like, okay, I'm like, well,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I'm just going to wait until I have help. I
Mhm.
was literally at one of my girls' dance things, and a mom looked at me and said, do you still need someone to help you watch the baby? And I said, yes. She says, I'm going to ask my mom. I said, okay, because I mean, the mom was cool,
Right, right,
She called me. She said, can I give my mom your number? We talked. Then I said, can I take you out to lunch? My husband and I, we need to meet you
right, right.
and see what we feel like and stuff while you talking. And
Mhm.
so we did, and we just hit it off. And for the last 3, maybe, yeah, almost 4 months, she's been keeping Peyton.
Wow.
So he'll,
Mm-mm-mm.
he'll make a way when it's time for that.
When it's time. That's so good. Oh, okay. All right. So we all are inspired and motivated to really seek God about what to do and hearing him and following him and being okay with the timing of it. All right. So right now in your business or businesses, what is a resource, a tool, an app, a something, a book, whatever that you find that you have used or is you are using to maintain your business? Like you're like, I could not do this without this. It's
Mhm.
a practical resource.
Well, this is extremely practical because I have this beside me. I was never really a planner person until recently. So I use this faithfully. And I use my phone. And the way I use my phone is when there is an appointment, I immediately put it in there, but then I make time to come back later and put it in my planner. Um, my husband and I work together with the real estate business. And so we recently created like a Google Doc that is like a work that we both can like work on and say things and,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, because that's a whole nother
Yeah.
aspect
Yeah.
of
That's another pocketbook
working
series.
with your husband. That's a whole nother pocketbook series. But anyway, because you don't want to be all the time at home talking about this stuff. So put that in a Google Doc.
Mm-hmm.
So that helps keep things on track. But yeah, that's pretty much what I use as far as trying to keep things on track and scheduling, because my girl's dance schedule is an animal within itself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to now, and I was never like that. I was always somebody just like wing it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But here lately, I don't know if it's also mixed with the mom brain from having Peyton, but I have to write things down.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not, like you said, an app. I'm not great. I'm not very savvy with a lot of those things. So I'm just kind of basic. Give me a planner.
No, it's something, man. There's like a psychology about the idea of writing and retaining
Uh-huh.
information through writing. We Habakkuk 2 and 2,
Okay.
write the vision, make it plain. Like there's a biblical like support for what you're saying of
Right.
why this planner is so important. So that's really cool to hear that having an organized way to keep your thoughts and schedule intact
Yes.
helps.
And I have a notebook too that I keep, y'all, because I have ideas that come all the time, right? I just jot them down so that I can like revisit later. Because I could be like in the dance parking lot about to go in and pay some money. And a mom is like speaking to me. I'm probably gonna forget my idea. So I just like jot it down. So these two things I like take with me a lot.
Okay. This is
So
so good. Y'all, this has been an amazing time. Thank you, Pastor Katie, for taking the time because if you
this
are
was
a
fun.
mompreneur, that means that you have probably some other things you could be doing right now. Uh,
I told you later we have a dance boot camp. So I'm about to start packing this huge duffel bag and getting somebody up and going.
all right. Well, we won't take too much more of your time. Y'all, listen, I know this has been a blessing. We still have more in store, so be sure that you are looking out for some more videos, reels, content regarding the three areas of focus to ruling your finances, whether it's mompreneurship, it's putting things first, being a kingdom first spender. Excuse me. We're trying not to say budget, but we understand it's actually a budget. We're just not
Kingdom spender sounds so much
doesn't
better.
it? It's like I'm financially fiscal, like I'm fiscally responsible. Anyway, and then also mom hacks. Like we're trying to save money too. And so be sure to take a look at all the things that we offer. And if you want to reach out to Pastor Katie, her content is or her contact information is below. Okay. Thanks, Pastor Katie.
Thank you for having me.